Day 22. So as you can see, Crater Lake is right behind me. We got into Manzama Village, which is like a little campsite right outside of Crater Lake yesterday. Camped there and ate some pizza just to figure out what our game plan was. It's from where we just left up at the rim here. It's about 26 miles to reliable water. And we really don't want to rush through seeing Crater Lake and all this awesomeness. So we are lugging a fair amount of water with us, hoping to take kind of a shorter day today and poke our way around the lake. You can kind of see the trajectory of our hike behind us. We're gonna hike all the way around the rim. That's Wizard Head Island. And then at some point on the northern end of the lake there, we're gonna start heading north. And we'll probably camp up there somewhere. Sort of fingers crossed there's a couple water caches between here and the Thielsen Creek, which is the next reliable water, but not counting on it. So here we go. A little bit of but stoked to be at Crater Lake and, you know, seeing some really dope features. So it's super crazy that it's like 90 something degrees and there's snow here, but this is my strategy for staying cool, is I'm making myself a little ice pack for my neck.
Bringing snow home from off.
What do you do with that snow?
I'm bringing it home from off.
What are you actually doing with that snow? What are you actually doing with the snow?
You're filming? Feels good.
Nice. Air conditioning when you don't have air conditioning. What are you doing?
It's Christmas time in the desert.
Cool. Where are you standing?
In a pumice desert.
Where did the pumice desert come from?
An explosion of volcanoes.
What volcano?
Crater Lake. Also known as Montezuma.
Manzama?
Manzama.
In a twist of fate, our wettest camp morning thus far was in the pumice desert.
When?
All right, day 23. I thought you guys might want to break from looking directly at my nostrils, so we're gonna let Mark do some weird cinematography over here because that's pretty typical. We stayed down at the Pumice Flat yesterday, or Pumice Desert, which was a pumice field that was created by Manzama Mountain / where Crater Lake is. Today we're headed up to the Oregon PCT
Oh, you can't
High
see the
Point.
lake.
Today we're headed up to the Oregon PCT High Point, which we've been kind of laughing at all day because it's like 7,500 feet. But behind us is this really rad mountain. I think it's Mount Thielsen, don't know. But we're in the Mount Thielsen Wilderness Area. There's gonna be a nice big river coming up soon, which we are unfortunately not gonna stay at. Though where we are planning to hike to, which is a dry camp about 5 or 6 miles past there, is supposed to have really beautiful views, and it's gonna be right at the high point for the trail. So I think we're both feeling a lot better today, but it has been hot, man. So looking forward to getting to some areas where at least there's consistent water every 16 and 17 miles. Yesterday we picked up water at yesterday and today we picked up water at 2 caches that a trail angel has been stashing in a 30-mile dry section between Crater Lake and where we're headed now. So super, super grateful for that. And we helped fill the cache. And Mark wants me to say something else, but I don't know what.
And Mark still carried a lot of water.
Yeah, oh, and Mark and I both still carried a lot of water.
Mostly Mark.
But mostly Mark. All right. y'all. So I think dirt on my face. I think we're on day 23. Didn't do a check-in. I was actually getting ready to do a check-in about 4 miles south of where we are now when I got a note dropped on me about a helicopter saying to hike the other direction. So we're actually experiencing probably some of the nicest views of the hike all day, but under sort of not the best circumstances. And Mark and I are about to pull our first 28-mile day to get to the Summit Lake trailhead to get out of this shit. Also, there's thunder and fire happening at the same time.
What else you gotta say?
That's all I got.
Having a good time.
Having a good time. Hello, day 24. We are currently hanging out at this lovely little stream. Behind me is White Peak, which was a volcano. I was just speculating about whether or not it blew out the whole side of the mountain because we're kind of in this interesting little bowl here. But this is an extremely lovely, refreshing snowmelt stream that we would have been camping at tonight had we not had to hike out yesterday. So I mentioned it briefly, but yesterday we were at our campsite, had this plan where we were going to camp there, hike another 10 miles to a lake where we would probably hit that midday today, have a nice swim, hang out, and then hike up here and stay at this lovely little spot. But we ended up having to hike an additional 8 to 10 miles yesterday from our campsite. There was a lightning fire that started just about 2 miles south of where we had set up our tent. And as I mentioned in the video yesterday, a rescue helicopter dropped a note attached to a soda bottle that said, get to your trailhead. But we were lucky enough that we hiked up a little bit because the closest trailhead was actually towards where the fire was coming from. And we hiked up a little bit and just ended up having reception, called 911, and we're like, we don't have a car. What is the best thing to do here? And they said, just hike in the opposite direction. So we hiked last night until about 9:30. I think we ended up getting somewhere between 26 and 28 miles yesterday. So just as Mark and I were both saying that we didn't want to try for a marathon day, we ended up doing one. So I think hopefully that will be our last one on this trip. We're both feeling pretty slow today. We're gonna end up just making the full trek into Shelter Cove, which total will be about 20 miles. We're, I think, about 9 miles in at this spot, so another 11 or so to go. But we're gonna chill out here a little bit and then head down to Shelter Cove, and we are for sure taking a 0 tomorrow. You have anything to say, Mark?
What time did we wake up, Carly? And why?
We woke up this morning at 4 o'clock because I was very anxious, having not fully reached the Summit Lake trailhead, which was our original plan, that we were not close enough to the trailhead. My GPS wasn't working last night, and that the fire was coming in. So I was a little bit anxious. Mark tried to assuage me, but he instead was a lovely husband and woke up at 4. But we are both very, very tired. So anyway, I'm gonna go enjoy this really nice stream, which I just finally wiped all the dirt off my face in, which was also nice. Anyway, so headed to Shelter Cove, out of danger, very smoky today, but we're doing good. When we arrived at Shelter Cove and Lake Odell,
We were so excited to see a beautiful lake, but overwhelmed by the number of hikers here who had bypassed the closures. A lot seemed to be pushing to Washington to bypass the Oregon closures altogether. I've shaken off the jitters from the fire, and I feel ready to get back out there and experience the Three Sisters wilderness.